Namaste everyone. So today we are going to talk about upcoming new moon. So last time we were talking about the full moon in Anuradha Nakshatra and its significance and how full moon in general affects us. So as we were talking, full moon generally, how it affects us, it shows the culmination of energy of every month. That's exactly what full moon does. And full moon specifically affects very strongly, very powerfully the nakshatra in which it's sitting, right? So when full moon was in Anuradha Nakshatra, in a way we experienced the fullness of this nakshatra. And by the fullness, we don't mean again just the positive things, right? Also the negative things too, especially because the moon was, in not that easy place, in debilitation place, right? In the sign of Scorpio. But generally full moons, are very positive and are very facilitating to any healing energies too. This is why our Gurudev, Paramahamsa Vishwananda, had said that even doing Om chanting during full moon is a great thing, because when you chant Om in a group of people and you facilitate, this inner self-healing, the full moon on the sky is actually helping you in that. It's helping you to increase this energy. So you can imagine full moon is increasing anything. It's increasing any of your intentions. This is why even our Gurudev said that, whenever there is a full moon and you think about some wish or you have some strong, powerful intention, it's actually going to happen. It's actually going to be really born into reality. While new moon is a different energy, It is said that when there is a new moon, that the moon is not dwelling on the sky anymore, he actually descends. He comes back on earth and he actually enlivens and rejuvenates the plants. Which is why it is said that it's the best time to actually collect healing herbs is during new moon. Because then the soma, the amrit, the nectar of the moon is dwelling in the plants themselves. But because moon is not on the sky anymore, he's here on earth, he's also more materialistic in a way, you could say, okay? And because it's a dark moon, he will also manifest dark qualities of the nakshatra in which it is dwelling. Which is why even if you do a simple observation and simply see, how you feel, how you behave a couple of days before any new moon, you will very quickly understand that really what is happening, and what you feel and what you behave will be very strongly affected by certain shadow qualities of the nakshatra in which the new moon is going to occur. So the next new moon is going to occur in Mrigashira Nakshatra. And this is in itself very special nakshatra for the moon. Why? Because Mrigashira itself is governed by Soma, right? By the nectar of the moon itself. So that is a very, very special new moon. So the deity or the god of Mrigashira Nakshatra is Soma. So Soma is the moon god, but he's also the god, of this nectar of immortality, of this essence of life. And that is greatly symbolic here, because Mrigashira Nakshatra, its own Shakti or its own power is Prinana Shakti, the power to find fulfillment in life. And how we are actually finding fulfillment? Usually, for a majority of people living in this world, how they think that fulfillment looks like is that they simply go, to so many different experiences, fulfilling so many different desires, and they think that this is going to bring them fulfillment. This is why actually one of the symbols of this nakshatra is a head of a deer. You can imagine deer going in a forest, walking in the forest and constantly searching for something. So people born under Mrigashira Nakshatra very often are constantly on search. They're constantly looking for something. And it kind of looks like, sometimes it's like if they would like to get to water, right, by digging in 10 places at the same time. And if you try to do that, obviously you will never get to water. Because if you want to get to actual water, to actual nectar, you need to sit in one place, patiently, dig in one place for a longer period of time, and this is how you're going to get to it, by being persistent and trying to seek, this fulfillment in one place. Because if you try everything, just little by little, you will always be, very distracted. So this nakshatra can be very distracted sometimes. It's very good in research though, because again, this power of searching is present here. Power of searching for fulfillment. But again, these people should rather focus more, on finding the fulfillment actually within themselves. This is very symbolic here. Because again, the deity of this nakshatra is Moon himself, okay? It's Soma. And what is Soma, right? It's so special that, this nectar immortality is, it's the same name for it, for Soma, like for moon god itself. It's a great hint actually from Vedic rishis and from Vedic sages. It's revealing to us that this fulfillment, this nectar, this pleasure, this highest pleasure or bliss that you are looking for, it's nowhere else. It's in your own mind. Again, that's what the deer is the symbol here. Because especially, imagine musk deer, right? The musk deer is like a great metaphor here, used by so many saints. Because musk deer, when the musk, the intense smell, come out of its own body, musk deer is looking for the source of this smell everywhere, and it's trying to get to it, but it doesn't realize that the source of the smell of the musk itself is in its own navel. It's within us. And it's the same for us, because think about any pleasure, that you ever felt in life. Anything that you felt in life, it was never dependent on what happened in the outside. You might think that it was like that, but the pleasure, the joy itself came from your own mind. And this is what actually Mrigashira Nakshatra is teaching us about, that the true fulfillment, the true Soma, it can be found not through searching everywhere, but actually by staying in the present moment, because this is how the mind gets healthy, but by being in the present moment, enjoying being in the present moment, and enjoying being in contact with the divine, with your own soul. This is where you will find the true Soma. That's the actual message of Mrigashira Nakshatra. And you can imagine that when moon or new moon comes into that nakshatra, specifically new moon, it's a very interesting situation in fact, because it's the nakshatra of Soma, right? The nakshatra of nectar, the nakshatra of moon himself, but the new moon is occupying it. So this dark moon is in a way eclipsing that nakshatra, casting a shadow on it. And this is why when new moon is occurring in Mrigashira Nakshatra, what it results in is that simply we may seek this fulfillment, in the wrong places sometimes. We can seek this fulfillment more in material, world and in material desires and fulfilling any sort of things like that, but we might not be able to see what is the truth, what will bring us true fulfillment. So that's the shadow side, let's say, of Mrigashira Nakshatra, and specifically of new moon occurring in Mrigashira Nakshatra. It can make our mind also very restless, because please remember, the symbol is a deer here. Deer is always looking for something. It's a very fickle animal in a way. So this is why during this new moon, and especially days coming before the new moon itself, it's so important to meditate. It's really so important to just cool down your mind. Don't be so distracted, by all these outer things happening in your life at the moment. Really cool yourself down and really go deeply within yourself and get the answer from your own heart, from your own soul, from your own consciousness. What is this thing that really fulfills you? Because all of us, we have so many petty desires, but what is this thing that will really fulfill you, What is this thing? Is this thing, all these little petty things around us? Or is it something more? And this is actually so interesting, and I need to share that with all of you who are watching this video. So just recently I started to watch first few episodes, there's this new series called The Good Place. And it was interesting for me because it kind of approaches the topic of afterlife. And it was so shocking for me to see what they made in this series, that they made this perfect neighborhood and lots of frozen yogurt everywhere, And this is something that my guru, he's laughing so much about, that so many people are telling, oh, I love frozen yogurt, oh, I love ice cream, But seriously, you love ice cream, You can't love ice cream. You can't love frozen yogurt, It's not what the entire life is about, really. You can't love the material. Think you can like it, you can enjoy it, but it's not love. And this is the higher thing that Mrigashira Nakshatra is actually teaching us, to reevaluate and understand what is it that we really love. What is this thing that brings us true fulfillment? Because you see, Mrigashira Nakshatra is also birth nakshatra of Mother Parvati, right? And Mother Parvati, she's Shiva's wife, but she also represents the totality of material energy as well. So my Gurudev, he shared once this beautiful story about Shiva and Parvati. So Parvati once said to Lord Shiva, I would like to come to earth for a moment And I would like to simply be with my devotees a little bit, because my devotees, they pray to me so much, and I really would like to come, and grant them the boon to be with them for a while. And Shiva, he just smiled mysteriously and he said, okay, so be it. So Parvati went on earth, she visited some of her temples, he gave her own darshan to all her devotees, and while she was, enjoying the presence of her devotees, and while devotees were enjoying her presence, what happened is that she actually forgotten her way back to Kailash. She didn't knew how to return back to the spiritual world and how to come back to Shiva. And you see, this is a very spiritual story, really showing that this is very often what happens to us. We are always looking for something else, our mind has countless of excuses why we need this and why we need that, Remember, Mrigashira is still nakshatra of Soma, of the mind, right? The mental energy is very powerful here. So this is, the major misconception that we are having, and this particular misconception about what is really important in life can be particularly strong when the new moon is occurring in Mrigashira Nakshatra, because it eclipses its ability to see the goal, to navigate through life in a very, efficient way. So if you are about to make any very important decision about changing some direction in your life, it's a good, definitely time to think about it. To think that you could maybe take a different direction in your professional life, spiritual life, anything really. But it's not the best time possible to actually make such a decision. So if you're about to make any such an important decision, whether to change your direction, literally, in any sphere of life, you might like to wait with that decision after the new moon passes. Okay? Because when the moon is approaching this new moon, when it's still waning, and slowly moving to this point, when the new moon will occur in Mrigashira Nakshatra, our power to navigate, literally to navigate through life, is going to diminish as well. So with all sorts of decisions like that, you might definitely like to wait a little bit, but you might also like at the same time to try to be a little bit more in the present moment. Don't just be distracted, don't think about 10 ideas at the same time, because you will just exhaust yourself. Please remember that when moon is waning, when this is Krishna Paksha, when the moon is decreasing, also the level of our energy is also decreasing. And if additionally you have lots of these Mrigashira energies going on, and your mind will think about 10 different things at the same time, your energy will be even lower. So that was just a very short video from me about the new moon upcoming in Mrigashira Nakshatra, and thank you so much for watching. And also I wrote a book about the lunar phases, about the tithis, if you are at all interested in that topic. It's called Journey with the Moon, and you have the link below if you would like to purchase it. And also very soon I am going to have a 4-week-long intense course with cosmic insights just on the topic of lunar phases, as well as I'm having on my Patreon community bi-monthly webinars when we are meeting twice a month and going really deeply and really in detail in all the mysteries about the tithis or phases of the moon. So thank you once again for watching, and namaste.